conflict resolution, and Amazon. So, what is conflict? Conflict is a process that begins when one party perceives that another party has negatively affected or is about to negatively affect something that the first party cares about. There are three types of conflict. They are task conflict, which can be healthy with top management teams, relationship conflict, which is personal and is most of the time dysfunctional, and process conflict, how we do things inside the organization, and this often turns into personal conflicts. So, ways to manage conflict. There's competing, which is to satisfy your own interests, collaborating, which satisfies all parties' interests, avoiding, which is withdrawing from the conflict or suppressing that the conflict is going on, accommodating, which is the willingness to place one party's needs above your own party, and compromising, where each party is willing to give up something. So, what is conflict management? The use of resolution and stimulation techniques to achieve the desired level of conflict. So, is all conflict bad? No. There's functional conflict, which supports the goals of the group, and dysfunctional conflict, which is disruptive and continues the conflict.
So for this, we chose Amazon and their current issues in 2018. Their issues stemmed with their employees, and the employees had a lot of complaints about how Amazon was treating them and a lot of issues that were just going on within the company themselves and amongst the workers. So first, there were many complaints about the strictly timed breaks. A lot of them were concerned that they would lose or get penalized for taking too long of breaks. So some of them eventually refused to take breaks or just ignored their break time altogether. And this led to a lot of issues with overworked employees. Then there was the airport style security. This was a big issue with employees trying to get into work on time, and if they forgot anything on their personal self, including their cell phone, they would be sent to go put their items back in their locker and wait in the long line again before they could go through the security style again to be let into their factory or workspace and start their shift. So this led to more penalties and also late or tardiness of employees, and this wasn't by their choice. Also, they pushed packaging. A lot of shift leaders were pushing their employees to package 100 to 140 items per hour, which is a lot during a 10-hour shift, which are the average shifts at Amazon. This led to overworked employees as well. They were tired and they felt like they couldn't do anything under that to suppress that. And also, they were failing to tell employees that they were fired. Employees would show up, their security card to let them in wouldn't work, and then they weren't able to get into the building, but no one would let them know that they were actually fired. And they would also not be allowed to talk to coworkers, or else they would also be penalized and chastised as well for that.
Okay, so after looking into Amazon and hearing about all the different issues that have come to light about their organization, we decided to focus in on a select few to see how Amazon had approached these issues and what kind of efforts they put in place to fix them. So a big issue that Amanda talked about was how Amazon encountered Amazon employees not being treated well while working there, such as their strictly timed breaks, not being allowed to talk to one another while working, and just an overall bad environment. So it was said that they couldn't use the restroom, no one made enough money, and the benefits were just not cutting it for them. When Amazon's issues were made public, they actually made it known that they were not afraid of having people tour their facilities all around, ensuring that they were treating everyone fairly and that they had nothing to hide from the public eye. Amazon also went to the extent of hiring up to 14 ambassadors to take to Twitter and respond to people making poor comments about their organization. So one ambassador on Twitter had responded to a tweet saying, "I work at one in Texas and I can assure you that I am not on food stamps. In fact, I know a lot of people in the warehouse and have yet to meet one who is. We receive good pay and a generous benefit package too. Lots of our opportunities to move up into higher paying jobs as well." Another ambassador came to Amazon's rescue defending their benefit package and treatment to the facility, and he also threw in the fact that he and his coworkers can also go to the bathroom when needed. So seeing how Amazon had approached these issues, it's clear that they wanted to wash their poor image with the community and also better their reputation. Of course, there are some ways they could have approached it differently, and Sam here is going to tell you a little more about that.
So, Amazon, when they were dealing with this conflict in their organization, it was clear that they were focusing on themselves and they were focused on competing with their employees and basically trying to get as much out of them as they could before their employees had had enough. Now, when dealing with conflict, it would be a lot more effective if Amazon would have focused on the interests rather than the issues. So instead of focusing on the public issues and the bad publicity that Amazon was getting, they should have focused more on the interests of their employees and the interests of both parties in order to find a solution that would benefit everybody. In order to do this, they should have been holding open discussions with their employees and figuring out really where their employees were not seeing eye to eye and why the employees were not happy with their work situation. They also should have emphasized shared interests with their employees. For example, the good publicity of the company is going to be a shared interest because employees want to know that they're working at a company that people like to work at, and Amazon wants to have a good reputation with the community and with the public for treating their employees with respect. They also need to focus on being more cooperative versus being competitive, and really just trying to see eye to eye with their employees and figure out the issues that are driving this conflict in their organization. Also, Amazon should have followed the conflict process in order to deal with this conflict and make the problem go away. So the conflict process basically begins with incompatibility, which is where two people aren't seeing eye to eye. So the employees and the employer in this situation had different interests in mind, and they were on two different pages. This led to a perceived conflict and a felt conflict with the Amazon employees. They perceived that they were not being treated with respect, and this is going to lead them to feel negatively about their work situation and negatively about their employer. Then, instead of going through the process of competing and avoiding the situation, Amazon should have used more collaboration, more accommodation, and more compromising to help their employees feel better about their workplace. This would have led to a change in behavior in the employees and an overall increased satisfaction with their job, which would have benefited Amazon and would help them settle this conflict so that it doesn't negatively affect their organization going forward. Thank you.